NBC News legal analyst Misty Marris is following the case for us. Misty, good morning. We know much of the prosecution's case does stem from Davis's memoir. What is at the heart of their argument?
So what prosecutors said yesterday in their opening statement was that there have been a lot of people who did not want to talk about the night Tupac was killed, but there's one person who has trouble being quiet about it, and that is Davis. So prosecutors went through all of the times that Davis has made statements regarding Tupac's murder or even being there in Las Vegas on that night, starting back 1997-98, confirmed he was actually in Las Vegas but had nothing to do with it. 2008, 2009, met with law enforcement and told a story very similar to what you see in his memoir in 2019. And then also pointing to a bunch of different media interviews where prosecutors say he has a visceral reaction and anger. The theory is that the killing was in retaliation for an earlier fight with his nephew. Now, Joe, they talked about a bunch of witnesses that are going to come to the stand, and it seems like because prosecutors don't have any physical evidence, they're trying to build the case by giving the jury, setting the scene of what was going on at that time, what the relationships were like, and basically trying to corroborate what happened without anyone actually having personal knowledge that Davis was involved, other than Davis's own words.
Let's talk about the defense now. They said there's no evidence pointing to Davis actually being in Las Vegas when Shakur was killed. His attorneys have also been claiming his memoir is fiction. That's despite the fact it was advertised as an unfiltered tell-all. Based on what we know at this point, what we're hearing early on, what seems to be the strongest part of the defense's case?
So they really focused on a couple of different points. First is this idea of fact versus fiction, even saying that Davis himself is known to be a BSer. And the other piece of this, Joe, why now? Why 30 years later? So what the defense did was bring us through a timeline of how the investigation unfolded, dating back to 1996. It's changed hands so many times. There was incomplete investigative work. There was corruption in some instances. Towards the end of 2018, 2019, when an officer took over the investigation, his objective was to close the case, not to actually find out who did the act, but to get rid of it and get it off the books. So all of that is part of the defense case. And a big part of it, Joe, is this 2008 interview with law enforcement. They say, why not charge him then? Because they knew he was, quote, full of crap. So calling their client an exaggerator and a liar in that context.
Fascinating strategy there. Testimony did start. One of the lead detectives that investigated the murder way back in the 90s was on the stand for like 2 hours yesterday. What stood out to you from that testimony, as well as anyone else we heard from yesterday?
So they were laying out the circumstances, what they knew about that night in 1996, and this relates to all of the witnesses, but nobody had any firsthand knowledge about Davis's involvement or had seen the shooting itself and knew that and could say that Davis was involved in any way. So it was really more about saying that this is what happened, and that story actually matches what Davis said, and also that there came across a lot of hurdles in getting information because of the gang affiliations that are a center at this case.
All right, Misty Marris, good to have you with us as always. Thank you.